Okay, hello. We are back. We're back. This is another week of the Readers Are Leaders show. Thank you guys all for coming out, coming out for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming out with your eyes and or your ears, wherever you are. Thank you for coming out to your phone, to your laptop, in order to join me. As you know, I'm sure if you do watch this show, which I believe I two people did. So whoever you are, maybe it's more now. This was like 5 days ago. There was two people, and so thank you, two people. Not who watched it on YouTube. I think more people watched it on YouTube, but two people listened on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever they listen to podcasts. Two people. Dos personas. I read The Economist. That's what I do, and it's my favorite thing in the whole world. And it has actually become more of my favorite thing in recent times since the start of this show. I make other art too, but I just really love The Economist. And the further I go in life, the more I realize that's all I love. And so so I guess I read the summary page after I read the whole thing. I read the whole Economist, and then I read the summary page. So this cuts ahead because I realized that I didn't read the graphic detail article and the obituary. So I just read the obituary. Everything else, every article I read the first 2 to 3 paragraphs of, and the obituary they have an audio function on the app, the Economist app, and so the obituary I'll usually listen to it. It's my favorite article. I take it in, I sit there, I listen to it. Ann Rowe, who writes it, is I guess my favorite columnist. So shout out Ann Rowe. But let's do it. Summary page of The Economist. Despite a blizzard of diplomatic activity, America and Europe came no closer to ending Russia's military threat to Ukraine. After talks in Moscow, Emmanuel Macron said Vladimir Putin had promised not to escalate the situation, but Russia denied that. In Washington, Joe Biden said a Russian invasion would prompt the cancellation of its Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline to Germany. Olaf Scholz, Germany's new chancellor, was wollier. France, Germany, Russia, and Ukraine were planning to meet in Berlin to discuss the Minsk, according to Ukraine's breakaway region of Donbass. But the deal is unpopular with Ukrainians. That part of the world is in turmoil. World War III is about to start. Everyone's trying to say their political agenda and just say it louder. That seems to be what is happening, right? Like countries just say, this is what's going to happen. And the other country goes, I didn't say that. And then that's what keeps it. The U.S. is like, Russia's going to do this. And Russia's like, we didn't say that. And Russia's like, this is what we're going to do. And the U.S. is like, we didn't hear that. That's what keeps happening everywhere. No one knows what's going on anymore. We get news that's different than what we see on TikTok. So that's very strange. What we see on TikTok and Instagram is different than the news. Like literally what we see people recording with their phones is different than the news. So it's tough to think some soccer mom with her phone, or just some truck driver somewhere is lying. I believe UFO videos personally. Whenever I see that, whenever there's like a trucker that's like, check this out, and it's something weird in the sky, I'm like, yeah, that looks like a UFO. But who cares also? It's not who cares, but no one knows what to do. No one. Poland's finance minister resigned after a new tax package intended to benefit low earners instead cost some of them money. Poland's share of the EU's COVID-19 recovery package is being held up over concerns about the rule of law. Yeah, wow. They organizations now, they use money as the carrot in front of the donkey. Well, they always have. And yeah, apparently they're saying to Poland, hey, get your act together, Poland, or no COVID cash. You only get COVID cash if you go along with the COVID game plan. I don't know what that is, but yeah, I just say catchphrases. Road rage. Jim Watson, the mayor of Canada's capital, Ottawa, declared a state of emergency after protests against a nationwide vaccine mandate for lorry drivers turned violent. Justin Trudeau, the prime minister, and his family moved to a secret location. Protesters also blocked several big border crossings with America. Dude, I love these truckers up in Canada. I love them so much. Man, I didn't know the Canadians had it in them. I guess I always thought they probably did. Because I imagine being a trucker. I imagine being a Canadian trucker has got to be a lonely life. Probably a lot of closeted gay dudes. I imagine that's always been the world of truckers. Is always a lot of closeted gay dudes. Nothing wrong with that, man. Come out in your own time. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Hey, come out whenever you want to come out, trucker dudes, in Canada. And so I support you on that for sure. And I love you. I love everything you're doing. And yeah, man, I absolutely love that. I love your whole protest. I hope that you win. I hope that you don't have to take vaccines. You're driving a truck in Canada. It's fine. It's freezing up there most of the year. And so you're alone. I don't even think the virus can survive up there. Personally, I don't think it can. I'm not a scientist, but I don't think it can. And yeah, man. Yeah, fuck that Justin Trudeau guy. That guy, he's like, I don't even know. They're doing a thing now where they're like, we're gonna take military action against the protesters, but like it's not gonna be military action. This guy, just go, hey, man, we get it. Yeah, you made your point. No more vaccine mandate for truckers. Just go, yeah. Yeah, you're obviously very upset about this, and that's fine. And you're such a small group that the world isn't going to hold this against us. Yeah, man. Truckers everywhere, dude. Just pull your truck over. Just pull your truck over and stop the world, man, because the world has gone off the rails. So the way that governments use money to dangle in front of other governments in order to get them to do what they want them to do, like the U.S. or all these big organizations are just doing, I think with Poland in the other article, but like just all the time, they're just dangling cash in front of these countries. You stop the trucks. Stop the trucks. Stop them from running. And that'll be the carrot dangling in the other way. Oh, Mr. Politician. Oh, you want TVs delivered to Walmart? Well, then you go easy on the regulations. Because I want to be free in Canada or America. I just want to drive a truck and meet dudes at truck stops who are also driving trucks and fall in love with those dudes. 'Cause we both drive trucks. So yeah. So that's freedom, really. I should move on. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. A bipartisan bill was introduced in the American Senate by Bob Menendez and Marco Rubio to counter the growing meddling of Russia and China in Latin America and the Caribbean. The presidents of Argentina and Ecuador have traveled to Beijing to strike economic deals with China. Argentina has now joined the Belt and Road Initiative. Britain's government rejected a statement from China that supported Argentina's claim to the Falkland Islands. Okay. A lot going on here. Argentina and Ecuador. Argentina is joining the Belt and Road Initiative. That's the whole. That's the whole. I guess I think it's the Chinese government is basically creating a trade infrastructure, and their government, they make shit. I that makes sense that they would do that. That's where I stand on that. They make sense, and I guess Argentina needs shit, and so Argentina is like, okay, we're gonna deal with China, which I think everyone is dealing with China, which like the U.S. is dealing with China. Everyone is. I don't know who's not dealing with China. The Olympics are there, so that's where I am with that. Yeah, I don't know, man. China gets a lot of bad press in the United States. But I have no idea what's going on over there. Everyone is dealing with China. They had the Olympics. Everyone showed up. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of bad press though. And Argentina has claims to the Falkland Islands. I don't know what those are, but whatever. In Argentina, thousands of people protested against the provisional agreement the government has struck with the IMF. The tentative deal appears to have split the ruling Peronish coalition. Yeah, man, I talked about the IMF on this show before. I do not like them. I'm not a fan of the IMF. I feel I kind of get the impression of all the reading I do, and this is just mainstream reading in The Economist. I get the impression that it's a bank that quote unquote helps economies get better, but they attach all these strings, man, and it just seems weird, dude, because they just ping pong these poor economies up and down from the bottom, just a little bit up and then down again, just a little bit up and then down again, and they're always quote unquote helping them. It's a lot of economies that live in natural disaster zones, but it's like they never help them quick enough to get them out of true trouble. They always just help them just enough where they can fall back to the bottom. A good example I feel would be like Haiti. Haiti, there's a lot of natural disasters there, but they never help the infrastructure enough to withstand the natural disasters. They just help them enough to have another devastating disaster. They rebuild the infrastructure to that level, to one that can just be knocked over again, and that's weird. Just build an infrastructure to withstand any problems and then just be done. But they don't want to do that because there's no money in that. There's money in ping ponging it up and down because that's how schemes work. Women were allowed back into universities in Afghanistan for the first time since Taliban took over the country in August. The group has long opposed education for women and girls, but has recently claimed to have changed its mind as long as classes are segregated. Many girls, however, remain barred from school. I don't think I can't. I'm not gonna defend the Taliban's views of towards women. I feel, man, as a dude, I feel there's a certain amount of, as anybody, man or woman, there's a certain amount of healthy dismissiveness you should have for the opposite gender. a certain amount, just a certain amount of healthy dismissiveness, just in order to be either a lady or a dude. That's like just have pride in either being a lady or a dude. There's a certain amount of dismissiveness that you need to have towards, like if you're a dude, I feel there's a certain amount of healthy dismissiveness that you need to have towards ladies. And if you're a lady, I feel there's a certain amount of healthy dismissiveness that you need to have towards dudes. I think that's fine. I think that's fair. But here's what I think. I know harsh stance, harsh stance. The Taliban, they take it too far. They take it too far. They take it too far. That's too much dismissiveness of women. Taliban, too much, too much, too much dismissiveness of women. I feel it's cool. Listen, man, dudes are gonna have to learn with ladies in the room. Dudes are gonna have to learn with ladies in the room. That's just a part of life, man. You gotta be able to say, hey, there's ladies here, but that's fine. I'm here to do work. And so, doing work, minding my own business. Yeah, I do. I think that's, you gotta train dudes young how to do that, how to just function in a world with two genders, man. That's yeah. Don't be separating dudes and ladies for learning. Don't be doing it. Don't be. Uh, a row over the right of women in the southern Indian state of Karnataka to wear the hijab to school sparked protests. The police responded with tear gas, and the government declared that educational institutions in the state would shut for 3 days. The protest spread to Kolkata, a big city in the east of India. Okay, yeah, you you gotta let people have religious freedom, man. You gotta let. So I understand. I don't know the whole thing. I guess there's a war right now in India between I believe the Hindu people and the Muslim people of India, like an internal sort of unspoken war within the country, man. And man, I gotta tell you, dude, I love all religions. I just study religion, man. That's what I do. I love all religion, man. I really do. I study all religions, and I uh, I read holy books. I read a lot of holy books because it's these it's gibberish. I don't believe it's true, and that's an interesting thing. But I think that studying lots of different religions, despite the fact that you don't think it's true, will give you an idea of all these different paradigms that people live their life by. And I believe that doing that will make you free. It's made me way freer, man. Way freer. I study the legends of all places and people, man. I really do. I want to soak all that in, dude. You got a holy book, you got a God you believe in, you got something you worship, you let me know, man. I want to know your story. That's where I am. Officials from Iran, America, and other world powers met in Vienna for a fresh round of negotiations to revive the nuclear deal they signed in 2015. Iran and America, which pulled out of the deal in 2018, are said to be moving closer to an agreement, but big differences remain. Yeah, that deal fell apart. That was the deal that was made. Obama, I believe, made that nuclear deal with Iran. I like Persian people. I like Iranian people. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know enough about Iran. I really don't know enough about what's going on specifically in Iran. I got to tell you, man, I don't necessarily believe everything I'm told by the media. But I do know that Iranian people, Persian people are amazing. That much I can say for sure. They're amazing folk, for sure. Like, for sure. Israel investigated reports that the police used spyware called Pegasus to hack the phones of local activists, officials, and businessmen. NSO Group, the Israeli firm that created Pegasus, has already been admonished for selling its software to authoritarian governments around the world. So yeah, this is interesting, man. So in Israel, they invented this spyware called Pegasus. Okay, Pegasus, they sold it to all these different governments around the world in order to spy, so the governments around the world can spy on their citizens. Just this Israeli company invented the spyware and sold it everywhere, but also they sold it to the Israeli government. And now the Israeli government is using it on the people of Israel, and so the people of Israel are like, "Oh, this is crazy," and also like this got invented in this country, and now it's being used in this country to spy on us. And so yeah, man, everyone, this spyware called Pegasus was invented by an Israeli company, and everyone's using it now, including Israel. Everyone is using it. Everyone is spying on their people with this new technology. And so, yep, that's Big Brother's here. Yep, game over. Game over. Game over. That's what happened, man. And everyone, yeah, everyone. 3 Palestinian men were killed in an Israeli operation in the occupied West Bank. Israel said the men were from a terrorist squad that had carried out attacks on Israeli civilians and soldiers. Yeah, man. Israel and Palestine, they're still fighting. They're still fighting. Always have been, always will be, I guess. I don't know. I have no. That part of the world, man, it's been going on for so long, and the story never changes. So I guess just the people from Palestine and the people from Israel, they do not like each other. That's an understatement. So very much an understatement. The president of Tunisia, Kais Saied, was criticized for scrapping the country's top judicial watchdog. Mr. Said suspended parliament last year. Critics say he is quickly becoming a strong man. Tunisia. I don't know much about that place. But apparently their top guy is becoming a strong man. Like I think people call like Putin. I think that's what a strong man is. Like a dictator. I don't know. Cyclone Batsira has killed as many as 90 people in Madagascar and destroyed the homes of tens of thousands more. Less than a month ago, another large storm killed 55 people on the island. Wow. Dude, people are weather is murdering people. That's all over the world. Weather is murdering people. An official report blamed factional battles within South Africa's ruling party, the African National Congress, for violent protests that claimed 354 lives last year after the jailing of Jacob Zuma, a former president accused of corruption. It warned of the danger arising from the convergence of violent criminal conduct with mainstream politics. Yeah, man. In South Africa, there's just so much corruption, and it's a place that's, because it has just a recent history of turmoil. It has a recent history of turmoil. It's tough to get out of that, man. So I believe that. Maybe. I don't really know. But definitely is a place that has had a lot of turmoil in recent history. ECOWAS, West Africa's regional bloc, said it will send troops to stabilize Guinea-Bissau after a failed coup that the government said was linked to drug smuggling. The country is a hub for cocaine trafficking from South America to Europe. Okay, Guinea-Bissau. Yeah, they're in the that country is in the drug trade in between South America and Europe. So that's fascinating, man. That country can just carve out these industries based on these uh based on these black markets. That's wild. Money, 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 money. That's how money moves. Um, yeah, moves to song. Money, 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 money. That's what they sang. All the people making all that coke money. And there you go. Money, 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 money. The end is nigh. Several American states governed by Democrats announced an end to or easing of mask mandates, which have been politically fraught throughout the pandemic. California is lifting the requirement for people to mask up in most places, except for the unvaccinated, who are still obliged to wear a covering in indoor public spaces. They're easing up these mask mandates, dude. They're doing it in New York too, man. The New York City dude they're easing it at the schools in New York City. They're easing it at the public places, man. People don't care so much anymore at all. They're easing the mask mandates everywhere. It's good. It's good because it's not. There's Omicron. Omicron killed that one guy in Houston. One dude, one lone dude in Houston got taken out by Omicron. The rest of us, man, doing fine. Just a lone dude in Houston, bro. That's who got, yeah. That was the whole Omicron takedown. It's just a lone dude in Houston. So that was all of Omicron. So, mask mandates are over now. Yep. Thank you, Canadian truckers. Mask mandates are over. Thank you, Canadian truckers. Boris Johnson declared that all remaining COVID restrictions could end this month in England, including the legal requirement to isolate after a positive test. The mandate to isolate has caused severe staff shortages, not least in the National Health Service. That's ironic. Yeah, I think that's so funny, man, that all these health services, people are like, hey, if I get sick, I should, of course, go isolate myself first, but then that causes these shortages. And irony. That's what that is. But yeah, man, no one's dying anymore. So now COVID is just a thing that you get and don't die from, apparently. Now. So we good. That's, over. I think Omicron was a cash grab, personally. I maintain that. I think Omicron was a cash grab. I think they're like, there's going to be cold. Omicron's here. There's going to be cold and flu-like symptoms. And I'm like, it's December. It's December. That's people get cold and flu-like symptoms in December. And then there's one guy in Houston that died of Omicron, and he was the patsy for the whole thing. I think it was a cash grab, Omicron. Personally. Hong Kong, meanwhile, went the other way, tightening restrictions amid a surge in COVID cases. Hong Kongers may meet only one other person in public at a time. That's really suspect because the Olympics are going on, and so that China definitely wants to keep Hong Kong, tame during the Olympics. So they're going to definitely tighten restrictions over there. That's what. Because they have been clamping down in Hong Kong, you read about in the news that China has been. So that's kind of suspect, I'm not going to lie, that there's all of a sudden like a thing where you can't meet with other people in public in Hong Kong the week of the Olympics, and they go, oh, it's because of COVID. And you're like, maybe. Or maybe you just want to clamp down on freedoms on Hong Kong right now. So, might be that. The Winter Olympics got underway in Beijing, with many spectators wondering who is American and who is Chinese. Eileen Gu, born and raised in California but opting to compete for China, won gold in the big air event. Zhu Yi, also born in America and competing for China, fell badly during the team figure skating event, depriving China of a medal. Yeah, yeah, there are, people have dual citizenship, and so I think a lot of wealthy people's kids go into Olympic sports. I think that's what happens is they're wealthy people and they have kids, and these kids they don't need to get real jobs, so they just go and train, and then they go to the Olympics, and it's like a cool thing for these families. Their kids are like thoroughbred horses. The way people train a thoroughbred horse to run in a race, they train their children to do such things, and their children become these Olympic athletes, these wealthy people, these Vanderbilts of the world, and a lot of wealthy Chinese people. They train their kids to be Olympic athletes, and their kids have dual citizenship, both in the United States and in China. And some of them said, "Hey, I'm gonna go on Team China," and hey, yeah, that's cool. That's totally cool. It's totally cool. I, for one, do not get offended when I get snubbed. Some people do, man. Some people get offended when they get snubbed. I do not personally. Personally, I was cool with getting snubbed. I don't have an ego. I don't have an ego about it. Ping Shuai, a Chinese women's tennis star, appeared at the Olympics to explain that there had been a huge misunderstanding over an online post in which she had claimed to have been forced into a sexual relationship with a former senior Chinese official. The Women's Tennis Association said it still has concerns about Miss Ping's well-being. Yeah, man, this woman outed. She Me Too'd a senior Chinese official, and then they silenced her, man, quick. So yeah, that's what happened there apparently, from the looks of it. From the looks of it, it's pretty much for sure apparently that. So this chick might get murdered. So I hope she doesn't. I hope she just lives a great life, and I hope she does not get murdered. And good for her, man, for speaking her truth, man. You gotta speak your truth in this world, man. Good for her for speaking her truth, man. You got to. You got to. You gotta make your stand, man. You gotta speak your truth. So good for this lady, Peng Shuai, Shuai. Peng, good for you. Speak your truth. Speak your truth. I'm glad you got your shot off before they shut you down. I'm glad you got your shot off before they shut you down. I'm glad. Okay, SoftBank said it would seek to list ARM, a British chip designer that it bought in 2016 on the stock market after a proposed sale of the business to Nvidia collapsed, valued at as much as $60 billion. The deal would have been the biggest ever in the semiconductor industry, but it ran into regulatory hurdles from the onset when antitrust concerns were raised in America, Britain, and the EU. Companies that use ARM's chip designs include Microsoft and Qualcomm had argued the acquisition would give it too much market power, would give too much market power to Nvidia, which is based in California. So apparently, yeah, there's just power struggles in the chip design world. I'm not into chip design politics myself. So, but Intel, I don't even know if they're still around. I don't even know. Toshiba, another Japanese conglomerate under pressure to increase shareholder returns, ditched a plan to split into 3 companies and said it now proposed spinning off just its devices business, which includes semiconductors. The original plan was criticized by foreign investors. The new restructuring would avoid a complex vote amongst shareholders, making it easier for management to try to win over the naysayers. Okay, yeah, Toshiba is really just there's a power struggle over there. Management does not want to give the shareholders power, and rarely does management ever want to. BP made an annual headline profit of $12.8 billion in 2021, its biggest in 8 years. Similar to other energy giants, BP was boosted by soaring prices for oil and gas, coming on the back of huge profits at Chevron, ExxonMobil, and Shell. There are some calls in Britain and on the European continent to impose a windfall tax on energy companies. Yeah, man. These companies make a lot, dude. They make a lot of money. These energy companies, and so maybe I believe a windfall tax is just some like it's just an automatic. We suck money from you out of every transaction. Just money, money, money. And then they're going to get greedier and greedier and greedier. And then, in the end, people will just pay for it. And it's all weird, man. It's all just money switching hands so that people can get rich on those little switches of money. That's it, really. Just schemes people find in order to get rich on little switches of money. Revenues at TUI, Europe's largest tourism company, were 5 times higher in the last 3 months of 2021 than in the same quarter of 2020, still well below those of 2019. Now that many travel restrictions have eased, TUI expects bookings this summer to come close to pre-pandemic levels. Yeah, man, that would be amazing. Tourism has been dead all over the world, so yeah, that would be amazing. Because tourism is like the fifth biggest industry, like the eighth biggest industry in the world, probably. That's up there. That's a whole industry dead. So probably is even higher than the eighth. It's probably like more like the fifth or even the third. It's like the number one industry in Orlando, Florida. Another sign of returning confidence in travel, Frontier, a low-cost airline in America, agreed to buy Spirit, a rival. The $6.6 billion takeover is the biggest in the industry since the start of the pandemic. So Frontier is taking over Spirit, and together they will make one bigger, shittier airline. And I think they're terrible. I don't know. That's what I've heard. I've heard it's like scary, but I also heard it's so cheap. And so I like cheap. I like cheap. Hey, we got our own Ryanair now, America. I like cheap. Stock markets clawed back most of their losses from the worst trading day in a year, triggered by Meta's warning about slower revenue growth. The share price of Facebook's parent company tumbled by 26% on February 3rd, wiping $230 billion off its market value, but the rout and tech stocks were not evenly split. Amazon's share price rebounded on the back of solid earnings. Disney also provided a fillip to investors by reporting a big rise in subscribers to Disney Plus channel. To its Disney Plus channel, laying fears that the streaming revolution had run out of steam. Okay, yeah, man. People are still. I don't belong to Disney Plus. Hey, Disney Plus, me, Joe Camerota, I don't belong to your platform. You got to entice me. I'll tell you what I am into. I am into lectures by Alan Watts and Ram Dass. So get some lectures by Alan Watts and Ram Dass on your platform, and maybe I'll show up. There probably is stuff on there by Ram Dass and Alan Watts, but I'm just too cheap. I'll still go to YouTube and get it for free. So, how to ease easy money. Christine Lagarde, the president of the European Central Bank, tried to reassure markets that any tightening of monetary policy in the Eurozone would not be rushed. Ms. Lagarde triggered a sell-off in Euro bonds recently when she signaled a shift to a more hawkish position at the ECB by refusing to rule out an interest rate rise this year. Persistently high inflation is forcing central banks to think hard about quickening the pace of rate rises. The Bank of England recently lifted its benchmark rate to 0.5%, having raised it to 0.25% in December. Wow, yeah. So everyone is raising rates at these at these central banks. Ours is the Federal Reserve, and it's a European central bank, the Bank of England. Everyone's raising rates in order to quell inflation. Party's over. Free money's over. And so markets are going to correct themselves. Probably, because people just can't get free money on their shit company anymore. And so I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we can withstand it. I think a lot of people, we got a lot of savvy people now in this country, in all countries, really. A lot of educated people, man. LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning help the world. So advertisement there for LinkedIn Learning. America's total house debt America's total house debt rose by 1 trillion during 2021 to reach 15.6 trillion at year's end, the biggest annual increase since 2007. Car loans were a big factor. The loosening of COVID restrictions has unleashed a pent-up demand for vehicles. Credit card balances increased in the fourth quarter by the largest amount since records began. Oh man, people are going into debt now, dude. People ran through their COVID savings and now they're going into debt. And this is not going to be good. So you gotta, you can't live like you were living when you were getting all that COVID money. You can't do it. Can't do it. When you were getting all that free COVID cash and you were living large on daddy government, that was a present for staying at home. That's what that was now. And but now you gotta get back to the hustle, man. You gotta get back to the hustle. You got to get back to the hustle and just survive. So that's it, baby. Okay. America said it would remove the extra tariffs on Japanese steel imports imposed during the Trump administration. The levy on aluminum still applies. In a deal similar to the one struck with the EU last year, America and Japan pledged to work together to reduce overcapacity in steel manufacturing to avoid tariffs. Steel from Japan must be made entirely in that country to avoid Chinese elements sneaking into the production. Okay, yeah, man. There's a fight over metals, man. There's a fight over commodities, over controlling them in order to keep markets high, dude. And don't let them fool you, man. They can take as much. They can make much more of anything than they are, but they purposefully, countries work together, man, to keep supplies low and to keep prices high. So, and the consumer gets fucked. The guy at the end of that chain gets fucked. Because everyone's, could make your life easier, man. But they don't. As America's economy rebounded last year, it snuck in more import. As America's economy rebounded last year, it sucked in more imports, pushing the overall trade deficit for goods and services to $859.1 billion, a record. The trade deficit with China grew by 14.5% over the year to $355.3 billion. Okay. Yeah, man, our we're coming back, but we're importing more stuff. So America's coming back, but we're importing more stuff, man. We need to make stuff at home here. So definitely start creating, man. I have this podcast. I created something. This is something. I created something, America. Joe Camerota, created something. So stop consuming, start creating. That's it, man. That's really the secret to life, actually. You have to create more than you consume, man. That's the secret to life, dude. Create more than you consume. A married couple were arrested in New York for allegedly conspiring to launder cryptocurrency that was stolen during a hack of Bitfinex, a virtual currency exchange, in 2016. The Justice Department said that $3.6 billion in Bitcoin related to the hack has been seized so far, proving that law enforcement can follow money through the blockchain. Yeah, dude, they figured out enough on that blockchain to be able to make sure you get your money back to some degree. That's a big win. That's a big win, because that's the scary thing about putting your money on the blockchain. If somebody on like Bitcoin or anything, like your Ethereum, someone hacks into that shit, it's like, hey, no one knows who's responsible. And it's like, I guess the company you're working with like insures it. Like if you buy Bitcoin through Venmo, I guess theoretically they're insuring it. So that's your safety net in that regard. But man, yeah, scary. But yeah, but they got some money back, but still scary because just as easily they could have said, "Hey, you put your money on a blockchain. We're the cops. We're the SEC. We're the feds. We're not blockchain people, but they want to be. So if they want to be, if they want to regulate that blockchain, they got to get out and they got to work for it, man. They got to recover money when it gets stolen. If you want to regulate the blockchain, you got to prove that you got some reach within the blockchain." A tough business cycle. Peloton replaced its chief executive and said it would cut 2,800 jobs after it reported another quarterly loss and lowered its sale forecast. The maker of internet-connected exercise bikes and workout programs was one of the pandemic's big winners. Its Svet office workers, Svet. All right. Was one of the pandemic's big winners as svelte office workers tried to stay lean and mean at home. Once they returned to gyms and parks, demand for Peloton's pricey products dropped. The company's stock has pedaled back from $163 a share in December 2020 to $40 today. Yeah, man, Peloton has been losing money because people are back at the gym. People, they are, man. They're back at the gym, dude. And yeah, they're back. People are back at the gym. People are running outside again in parks, man. They bought those Pelotons when they first went into lockdown, and then they realized like, oh, hey, exercise is free. I don't even know. I saved money with this Peloton. I can just save even more money by going jogging while listening to a podcast on Spotify. This podcast in particular, please listen to. The Readers Are Leaders show with Joe Camerota. I think, is this it? Yeah, I guess this will be it, man.